Welcome back to another 2D Sunday-ish. Today we're going to be talking about SplatterHouse. And as you can see, the heavy influence is Jason from Friday the 13th series. Obviously this was big in the 80s, I'm going to say, along with the Halloween movies and obviously the GOAT, which is Nightmare on Elm Street with Freddy Krueger. So we're going to be talking about my history with this game and what I think of this game now. This a little bit of history. Obviously this game was produced and developed by Namco, which is now known as Bandai Namco. It was done in 1988. I'm going to be talking about the arcade version, but this also got a port to the PC Engine, and the sequels, SplatterHouse 2 and 3, was for the Sega Mega Drive, aka the Sega Genesis, and I believe it got a remake in 2010 for the Xbox 360 and the PS3, but I never played those, so I don't actually know how good any of those games are. The only one I've actually played is this game, and I'm going to be talking about this particular version, the arcade version. So, okay, let's get to it and delve straight into SplatterHouse, this very iconic game. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is how to play the game and the mechanics of the game. So basically it's set over 7 levels. I'm using the arcade archives version of this. It's very simple. It's basically a scrolling hack and slash beat 'em up. Jump, crouching kick. You do have a slide. You can pick up weapons, and you do have a life bar, which is a bit shaky. But anyway, let's get on to the actual gameplay. And just like any good self-respecting arcade game, you've got a good intro and you have an attract screen. I like the intro. It sets the stage for what you're going to be doing in an arcade game. We've got this mask. Looks like it gives me some sort of powers. But anyway, let's get to the meat and veg of this game. Hectic, chunky graphics. Look at them, nice big graphics. This game needed to stand out, and it did. Not only did it use horror influences, I mean, it's got mad weapons. I mean, look at this. This is what's this? Some sort of chopper, some cleaver, some butcher knife, and he just literally whacking enemies. The gore factor is brilliant. I mean, look at this. Literally, everything splatters. It's the name of the game. Even the life bar is hearts. They literally are hearts. None of this cutesy games from the 80s hearts or Castlevania hearts. No, we've actually got hearts. The only thing that could have made it better if those hearts were actually beating. But yeah, I mean, at this point, I hadn't seen anything like this in the arcade. So yeah, this was really, really good. For this time, I'm going to say the sound is really quite impressive as well. It sets the mood for the game. It's not no happy-go-lightly platform music. No, it's just people moaning when you're hitting the enemies. You hear the groans and the thwack of the weapons just cutting through them. Yeah, it's just the sound is really good as well. I mean, I'm assuming it was probably going to be mono for most of the arcades, but no, the sound is really cool. I have to say that I'm not the biggest fan of the animation. It's just a little bit too stiff for my liking. But I think for him, his animation is not bad because he's supposed to be like a heavy, brutish character, so he's not going to look very nimble. But yeah, just could have done with a bit more animation for me, for the main character. Most of the enemies move well, and obviously they look great. He stands out from the background. He doesn't get muddled up in the background, so that's also nice as well. The color palette's good. Lots of grim, dreary colors. They're not particularly bright. There is a little bit too much greenish brown for my liking. A bit more red would have been nice, but perhaps they've probably thought, we might not get this game released, so we're gonna have to change some of the gore to green. Somehow in my head, I thought a lot of this gore was red. Perhaps there was a version that I saw with red, but it's one of those things. Perhaps it was always green, the gore, but in my mind, I changed it to red. And that's what I remember, but it actually was and always was green. Who knows? But yeah, good chunky graphics, nice colors, animation is nice and heavy for him. Not enough parallax scrolling for me, but it is what it is. Some of the indoor areas, I suppose, didn't really need it, but some of the outdoor areas would have been nice with a bit more parallax, so that would have been cool as well. I have to say that I am a big fan of the artwork for the stages, even though they don't have enough parallax scrolling, but I think they are really, really done well. I mean, as soon as you see a stage in this game, you think, oh, that's SplatterHouse. You just know it's a SplatterHouse game. So they really identify themselves and stand out from the crowd, from the hundreds of other arcade games that was around during the late 80s and mid 80s as well. So yeah, the stages are really nice. The boss battles, oh wow. I'm not a huge fan of the boss stages. They're some of the weirdest and cheapest boss battles I've played in any arcade game. I suppose it's just standard fare for what happened in the 80s. You was just, to beat these games in the arcade when you was a kid, you would have to pump in so much money. And the stages weren't too bad, to be honest. Obviously I said the graphics were nice, but the enemies on the stages wasn't too bad. They weren't too tricky. But my God, when it came to the final boss stage, it just ramped up the difficulty level. It's like, nah, you will not pass. No, you will not pass. And so it was just ridiculous. I wasn't really a fan of that. It was more frustrating than anything. And I also believe that's what leads into my only real negative of this game, I'm going to say. And that negative is the hurt box for this guy. It doesn't seem to be stable. Sometimes when he gets hit, I'm thinking to myself, no pixels touch me from the enemy, so why did I get hit? And also, even though you have a life bar, Jesus, it can just be destroyed within a couple of hits sometimes. And you're just like, wait, what? I didn't see how many times I got hit there. So yeah, it's the hurting hitbox for the main character is just ropey, and that's why on the boss battles, it just seems to be that, I don't know, the boss is just going to hit you and smash you and smack you, and sometimes you don't even see where and why it hit you. And to me, that seems to be the most unfair part. But it's that late 80s jankiness, and I'm hoping that they fix that on the sequel on the Mega Drive. That would be nice. I mean, like I said, I haven't played them, but yeah, I'm hoping that did get fixed so that it was more playable. Because generally, when you've got ports or sequels that came to home consoles, they made the playability better. They improved it because they wasn't trying to grab money from you like arcade machines were, because you just paid the one price and that was it. So hopefully it did. So yeah, that's my main problem. The main character's hurting hitbox just seems a bit weird. And it doesn't seem to have a steadfast rule, I should say. Not a fast rule, a steadfast rule. Sometimes you get hit, you're thinking, I shouldn't have got hit there. And other times you're thinking, oh, I didn't get hit there. So yeah, a bit wonky, but there you go. Okay, so my personal history with this game is that I only ever saw it in two venues. One was a chip shop near where my school was, and the other one was about half an hour away from where I lived. And to be honest, I only played it near the chip shop where my school was, because I had a couple of friends from my year, and they would play Shinobi. A guy called Matty P and another guy called Michael. And while they were playing Shinobi, because they were very good, I used to watch them as well, this was next to it. And this game really stood out because it just had these huge graphics. And everyone just like, oh, it's Jason from Friday the 13th. That's what we just thought, even though the game was called SplatterHouse and they had no license for the Friday the 13th movies. We just called it Jason, the Jason game. But that particular arcade, this game was ramped up to the hardest difficulty level you could. I believe when you started, I'm not too sure, but I think you had 3 hearts or less. So yeah, it was just really, really hard. Most people couldn't get past the first boss. I never did. So my history for this game was just, it was an okay game. I played it for a bit. I appreciated the look of it, but it was just one of those games that I just thought, oh, it's way too hard. It looks cool, but it's way too hard. And I never thought about it. Apart from that, I just never thought about this game because where it was too hard. And then the other place, which was about half an hour from where I lived, the stick was busted. I only found out after I put a credit in, and I couldn't crouch. You just didn't want to crouch. So yeah, that was that. My history with this game was just that one arcade they put up to the hardest difficulty imaginable, and the other one the stick wasn't even working. So I just didn't have a really good nostalgic time with this game. So yeah, not much of a history, but I could appreciate it for how good it looked. But when I played it, I was just like, allow me, I'm done. Okay, now I'm just going to show some of my most ridiculous deaths while making this video. I hope you enjoy my failings. That's me out. I shall see you in the next video. If you like it, you can thumbs up. If you want to subscribe, go ahead and do that. If you don't, you don't. Anyway, I'm out. Peace!